I think that faith means that I believe and hope that God is with me and that I will be protected. It's been over 10 years, I think, since we first went to First Baptist, and we were kind of slow to really connect and really, not that we're really involved, but to get involved. And I think I found it probably the most unpretentious church, maybe so much that I didn't even know if I fit in, because people just were so kind of genuine and kind of seemingly not judgmental in their faith, but open to everyone's interpretation. So it's been 10 or 12 years since we first came, and we had been in some churches that had some kind of dramatic problems, and it seemed like it had a lot to do with people's egos or big ideas or things that weren't always even the truth about what was happening. And Matt came pretty soon after we started, but that it just seems like everybody will just tell you the truth if you ask them. My mother grew up on a farm, and they went to church some, but there were some issues. There was a lot of kids, and it was the depression and the family and the farm. And so she didn't have a really smooth experience in church. But my father did, and they were Presbyterians. So my parents were married in the Presbyterian church, and I went there with my grandmother, and we always went to churches, growing up till I left home. And we had a minister that I really, really liked. I could listen to him as a pretty young kid. Just, I think that it was just comforting, and it just sounded like these are good words to be listening to. And of course, people were just kind and loving, and we were learning in Sunday school, and we went to church, in college and beyond. I just didn't get drawn into churches on a real regular basis. I did go when I went home, or I went with my grandmother, or, I went to weddings. I kind of didn't have a church home, but that's also because I was kind of on the move a lot for a few years. So it was really kind of when we had kids that we kind of got settled into church life with them again. I think to be a Christian means that you're a follower of Christ, and that you would use the Bible as the book of how to follow Christ. And there are so many stories and instructions and parables, and so many ways that some of the same things are described, of being loving and peaceful and kind and believing, and as to kind of the proof of God, the proof of Jesus. And that is probably, to me, the core instruction book. And of course, we can all be ministers to each other, by helping each other with interpretations of the Bible. But I think one of the strongest things that I have felt in my faith as a Christian is that when I read the Bible, maybe it doesn't happen every single time, but most of the time, even if you only read one sentence, especially in the New Testament, it just says something, and it's like you can't really argue with it. It's I guess what I'm really trying to say is that it's very, that's my probably closest experience with something being holy is the words in the Bible itself.